All right, so we have all of the pricing available for the C8 Corvette ZR1, which means we're going to go ahead and walk through it all and build out the car that I would personally be buying. I'm also going to talk about all of the prices, so if you're interested in getting the C8 ZR1, there won't be any surprises come order day. So thanks to our friends over at the Mid-Engine Corvette Forum, we have every option priced for the C8 Corvette ZR1. So initially, we were told the final price from GM was of course going to start at about $175,000, plus your 3LZ, plus your ZTK, plus your convertible if you want to get that. But for the argument's sake here on this channel, I would of course get the 3LZ Coupe, which is actually going to start at $185,995. So let's just call it $186,000. So with all of that said, we now have our 3LZ Coupe built out. With these numbers, you can pretty much add about 10 grand onto it if you want to get your price for a convertible. The convertible option is roughly $10,000 more. Now, again, over at the Mid-Engine Corvette Forum, that's where we get all this stuff. John posted up a thread showing a picture of the order form for the ZR1, and he thanks his special supplier. So ultimately, the list price at the very top here does not include the destination fee charges. I'm going to go ahead and include those because we know what those are already from Chevrolet, but they're not included on here. So anyway, moving on, we have our 3LZ Coupe, which is $186,000. From there, we're going to go ahead and check the box for the front end lift. That is one of the most useful features on a C8 Corvette. I would never buy a car without this. The total is $2,595. Moving on from there, the museum delivery. I have to have it this time. The last couple times I've bought a Corvette, I've not done the museum delivery, and I got to experience my first one with Shane whenever he picked up his C8 Z06, and my God, is it an awesome experience. So I would definitely do the museum delivery. That is going to be $1,495. Moving on from there, I would also select the option for the bright red calipers. You guys know I'm a big fan of red calipers. That's going to be a $695 fee. Now, this is going to go well with the exterior of my car, depending on what color I decide to go with. But for argument's sake, let's just go with the black like I typically go with. I may change that in the future. We'll see what happens. But for this particular video, let's just assume the color is black on the exterior, because that does not add any extra price to the bottom line here. Moving on, I am going to get the outside mirror covers for $1,250. The reason for this is because the door boomerangs or intakes on the side of the car are going to be carbon fiber regardless of what option you choose on the ZR1. Since those are going to be carbon fiber, I want all of the exterior carbon fiber to match. So because those are already carbon, the side skirts will already be carbon. The front splitter, the dive planes, the big wing in the back, already carbon fiber from GM. I want all of the carbon to match. So I'm going to get the outside mirror covers as well and pray that this stuff doesn't turn brown, like we've talked about a million times on the channel. Moving on, the stealth badges, $225. I love the idea of those things being carbon flash instead of painted with the not torch red color with a yellow badge. It's just too much. So stealth for me. Moving on to the exhaust tips. I would definitely do black exhaust tips. So the $395 black exhaust tips, that's a must, especially on a darker colored car. And it's honestly not priced that bad. Next is the big one, is going to be the ZTK package. So the ZTK package by itself is only $1,500, but you also have to add on to that the $8,495 for the actual carbon fiber aero. So ultimately, the ZTK package costs you about $10,000. Moving on from there, the red leather stitching on the interior is a must for me, $495. All the stitching has to be red. That is a huge option. Really doesn't even matter the color of your exterior. If you're going to go with red calipers, the red stitching on the interior is a must, in my opinion. Moving on from that, we have the red seat belts. Again, kind of a must if you have red calipers. It's going to be $495 for that. Staying on the interior, we are going to move to the stealth interior trim. Again, a big fan of that. A lot of the stuff I already have on my C8 Z06. That's how I know I like it. The stealth interior is the way to go for $595. The next one, I'm still kind of up in the air on, but I really love the level 2 carbon and fiber interior, but at the same time, I don't love the price of this. So $4,995 for that carbon fiber interior package. It looks really good, super high quality carbon fiber that GM uses, but it is expensive. So I could potentially get that done cheaper aftermarket, but at the same time, I don't know. I think I'm going to stick with GM's on this. And then lastly, one of the last options I would choose here on this paper at least is, of course, the competition seats. I've had the competition seats in my 2020 Stingray, my 2023 Z06, and ultimately I would want them in my 2025 ZR1. So all of these things added up, the competition seats, $500, everything added up and finalized at the end for my car. Before we know all of the details, because this is only about 90% of what we need to know, my car is going to cost $209,725. I guessed $210 on the video that I put out with the pricing earlier, and that is basically exactly where we're at. Now, the reason this isn't a 100% finalized number, there's a couple reasons actually. Number one, I didn't see any option for the carbon fiber fangs, quote unquote, in the front of the car because I added those on to my Z06 from Extreme Online Store. But again, if I want all of the carbon fiber to match, I'd like to get these direct from GM, and I did not see them on here. Those are not on there. Neither are scrape armor radiator grill guards. Again, I could get those after the fact. It wouldn't be a huge deal, but at the same time, it's odd that these things are not placed on here yet. And the big one, the gas guzzler fee. We've talked about this a couple times on the channel. It could potentially be pretty significant. I'm reading online, it could be as high as $7,000, but it really depends on what the miles per gallon or the EPA says about this car, because that's where those numbers come in. If it's below a certain amount miles per gallon in the city and the highway, it could go up to $7,700. Hopefully it doesn't, but regardless, my $209,725 MSRP charge for this car here could go up by quite a bit, depending on where they land with the miles per gallon on this car. Now, a lot of the pricing here for the ZR1 specific stuff has already been talked about in the previous video with the ZTK, 3LZ, and even the beginning price for the car. There's very few items on here that are specific to the ZR1. Most of these prices are the same as they are for the Z06, the E-Ray, the Stingray. A lot of this stuff stays the same. So we can look at this paper, go through the entire list, and a lot of these parts are the same. The ones that are specific to the ZR1 are, of course, the 3LZ price, the ZTK performance package, and under exterior appearance, it states exterior trim, carbon fiber split window trim, painted body color for $995. Now, this is an interesting one for me because I don't see any other options on this page or on this forum in general for the split window trim. Now, why this is interesting is, number one, it's an option. So the exterior trim, carbon fiber split window, painted body color is $995, but that's an option you have to select. So I'm assuming that this comes on the car standard in visible carbon fiber. That's what I've seen at least. And on the original builder that we had for this car, even though it was very generic and kind of limited, you always have the split window in the back of the coupe. So I doubt split window is going to be an option, but it seems like this may be coming from factory already carbon fiber, exposed carbon fiber. And you have to pay an additional $995 to cover up that beautiful carbon fiber, which I don't know why you would do that, but let's assume you did. It's $1,000 to cover that up. It's still carbon fiber. It's just now painted body color. So I think that's interesting because that means they're giving you the carbon fiber trim for free. I'll have to put that in quotes, free. But either way, it's not an additional charge from what I can tell here. Otherwise, it would be labeled out differently. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that it's not. I feel like the $995 charge should be what you have to pay to get visible carbon fiber versus the painted body color. But either way, very cool option. Under the gas guzzler tax, of course, we've talked about this already, but it is set to be determined. They have not figured that part out yet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not going to be something ridiculously high. And other than the wheel options, which I wouldn't select anything special here because I'm not a big fan of the carbon fiber wheel look. I don't like the offsets that GM uses on these. I love carbon fiber wheels. I just don't like the offsets. So I would not select anything special for the wheels because I'm just going to change them out anyway. But other than the wheels, the ZTK package, and the starting price of this car, and the split window painted option, there really isn't anything else on this list that is ZR1 specific. Very, very few ZR1 only options here. So you can kind of already go on to the GM builder and build yourself a Stingray, only exchange the starting price for the ZR1 starting price, and you're going to be pretty close to what this thing is going to actually cost you. Minus, of course, the gas guzzler tax, which we haven't actually heard officially what that's going to be yet. But guys, that's it for me. So $210,000 before gas guzzler and before tax, assuming you find it at MSRP. That's what my car would cost. Let me know down below, what's your car going to cost? What are your build options? I'm curious to know. But anyway, guys, if you liked what you saw, smash the thumbs up button. Let me know you're liking the content. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And as always, guys, stay obsessed.